Hey, what's up, my betas? This is your boy NightWolf here, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a bit different. Today, we're going to be doing my top 8 best D&D monsters. So, just for clarification, I will not be including creatures with the NPC tag, such as a Sararak, Vecna, Wizards, or any real humanoid type of creatures. Just terrible monstrosities and dark, vile creatures to haunt your nightmares will be included on this list. And again, this is just my personal opinion and my own list of monsters that I've used in my own campaign or look forward to using eventually in a campaign down the road, or maybe even fighting against in some future campaign that I am going to actually play in, because I'm not going to be the forever DM forever. Hopefully. Anyways, let's jump into this video. My top 8 best D&D monsters. Let's go. Number 8. Oni. In nursery rhymes, Oni are fearsome boogeymen that haunt the nightmares of children and adults alike. Yet they are very real and always hungry. Not only was the Oni one of my first real villains in my first ever campaign, but it was also my players' first real introduction to the horrors that D&D could bring. Onis look like demonic ogres with green or blue skin, dark hair, and a pair of short ivory horns protruding from their foreheads. Their eyes are black with stringly white pupils, and their teeth and claws are jet black. Onis have the ability to cast a few spells, some pretty powerful ones such as Darkness and Cone of Cold. On top of their magic, their weapon attacks are magical and have the ability to regain hit points at the start of each of its turns, as long as it has 1 HP remaining. My personal love for this creature came from absolutely shocking my players with a disgusting revelation of the Oni, and their reactions alone is why the Oni has such a special place on my D&D monsters list. One of my player characters had a secret backstory, and in that background, she had a brother that she didn't know existed. After dealing with her old gang, the party had finally had a showdown with her brother, who revealed himself to be a bloodthirsty Oni, seeking revenge against his sister for the murder of their father. This encounter and storyline stands out because it was the first time a character had died and wasn't able to complete their arc, which really awoken my other players to the dangers of this world, just how mortal they really were. And if you don't think the Oni is scary enough yet, just read this line from their description on their stat block. They find human babies especially delicious. Boy, what the hell? Number 7. Juiblex. Called the Faceless Lord and the Oozing Hunger in ancient grimoires, Juiblex is a demon lord of slime and ooze, a noxious creature that doesn't care about the plots and schemes of others of its kind. It exists only to consume, digesting and transforming living matter into more of itself. This is one of the only creatures on this list that I have yet to run, and is one of the creatures whose design just stuck out to me so greatly that it's made it onto this list. Juiblex is a mass of bubbling slime, swirling black and green with glaring red eyes floating and shifting within it. It can rise up like a 20-foot hill, lashing out with dripping pseudopods to drag victims into its bulk. Those consumed by Juiblex are typically obliterated. I cannot speak too much on the stats of Juiblex because, again, I've never ran it before, but looking at this thing, it is not a threat to take lightly, standing at a whopping 23 for its challenge rating, sharing that rating with creatures such as a Sararak and Baphomet. There might be something wrong with me. I absolutely love disgusting and mind-bending creatures, as you will see from this list, but yeah, not much to say, just really love the design and the lore behind this disgusting ooze monster. Number 6. Astral Dreadnought. Enormous and terrifying, Astral Dreadnoughts haunt the silvery void of the astral plane, causing planar travels to shudder at the very thought of them. Dreadnoughts have been gliding through the astral mist since the dawn of the multiverse, trying to devour all other creatures they encounter. Now, the Astral Dreadnought is another creature I have never personally ran. My players saw one, and I was really hoping they would be idiots and wake it up, but unfortunately, my players have PTSD, which is kind of my own fault, to be honest, so it's fine. You cannot see this creature and just not be interested to learn about it. Covered from head to tail in layers of thick, spiked plates, a dreadnought has 2 gnarled limbs that end in magic-enhanced pincer claws. Constellations appear to swirl in the depths of a single eye, and its serpentine tail trails off into the silvery void. Anything it swallows is deposited into a unique demiplane, an enclosed space that contains eons worth of debris, as well as the remains of travelers. With the ability to create an anti-magic cone, this creature can be a nightmare for your squishy little spellcasters, a remorseless, indiscriminate hunter, an Astral Dreadnought employing terrifying, if unimaginable tactics. It uses its teeth and claws to tear apart its prey. A massive combo of 1 bite attack and 2 claw attacks can be deadly in its own regard. A bite attack with a plus 16 to hit, and a 5d10 plus 9 force damage on top of that, if it connects, and then the 2 claws after, another plus 16 to hit, with a reach of 20 feet and 3d6 plus 9 force damage, could deal massive amounts of damage to anybody, realistically. An Astral Dreadnought does not communicate. It simply consumes any prey it finds, then continues its silent patrol. It can't leave the astral plane, nor does it want to. If you don't think that is one of the most badass Batman-esque quotes that you've ever seen before, then I don't think me and you could be friends, because that sounds awesome as hell. Number 5. Intellect Devourer. An Intellect Devourer resembles a walking brain protected by a crusty covering and a set of bestial clawed legs. This foul aberration feeds on the intelligence of sentient creatures, taking over a victim's body on behalf of its mind flayer masters. Talk about making a lasting impression. I will never forget the day that I threw these little guys at my party who, at this point, were mostly dominating most of the fights they were in. A problem I still struggle with at this point, by the way. You would be forgiven for underestimating these little vile brain monsters with a simple 12 armor class to hit and an average point of 21 HP. You would think that these little guys would be no problem. Easy peasy. But that is where your first mistake lies. The Intellect Devourer has this unique sense which allows it to sense the presence and location of any creature within 300 feet of it that has the intelligence of 3 or higher, unless that creature is protected by a mind blank spell or something similar to that. Not only that, the Intellect Devourer can target a creature and blast psychic damage into their mind and have that person roll 3d6s, and if the total equals or exceeds the target's intelligence score, their intelligence score is reduced to 0, rendering them stunned until they regain a point of intelligence. Hold on, it gets worse. The Intellect Devourer also has the Body Thief feature, which initiates an intelligence contest between a humanoid and itself, and if the Intellect Devourer wins, it magically teleports into the target's mind. Let me hold on. Let me read this right. Magically teleports into the target's mind, consumes the target's brain, and takes control of the target's body. Yeah. Alright. This combo of reducing a creature's intelligence to 0, then forcing it into this intelligence fight can be so deadly and so traumatizing. Sorry, Aaron. That it'll be sure to leave a scar or two on your party's memories, even on their bodies, and maybe even in their skulls. Throw a few of these with a big boss to soak up some of the damage, and you're looking at a pretty tough fight. Never underestimate an Intellect Devourer. Number 4. Dragons. You knew these bad boys had to make the list somewhere. You cannot talk about Dungeons and Dragons without, well, the dragons. Dragons are winged reptiles of ancient lineage and fearsome powers. They're known and feared for their predatory cunning and greed, with the oldest dragons accounted as some of the most powerful creatures in the entire world. Okay, let's just be honest. Dragons are just cool. Regardless of where you put them or how you use them, it's really, and I mean really hard to make a dragon uncool. I love using dragons. I love putting my players against dragons, and dragons have such unique and interesting lore attached to them in D&D. We have a vast array of dragons too. We got black dragons, they're brutal and cruel. Blue dragons, vain and deadly. Green dragons are manipulative schemers. Red dragons are arrogant tyrants. White dragons, primal and vengeful, alongside the 1,000 other variations of dragons like gem dragons and stone dragons, I think. A bunch of dragons. We have a bunch of dragons, okay? Dragons have such an aura of power and adventure that you can plot one of these bad boys in an adventure, and it can make the whole adventure 10 times more memorable and exciting. Dragons are fearsome creatures, with ancient dragons having armor classes of 22s and hit points in the 300s, 400s, even 500 range, making these flying reptiles some of the most dangerous creatures to throw against your party. The range between the different breath weapons adds such a cool dynamic to each different battle with dragons. Black dragons have acid breath. blue dragons, lightning breath, and green dragons with poison breath. And that's just the basic dragons. Do not get me started on some of these slowing and knocking out breaths from these gem dragons. Dragons are just cool, okay? You want to have an exciting encounter and really challenge your party? Then throw a few of these in your game and watch your party scream in fear as you laugh maniacally as, everything gets burned down. Because that's the job of the DM, is it not? Number 3, Beholders. A classic Dungeons & Dragons monster. A beholder is a large floating head with a singular central eye, a giant toothy maw, and an array of tentacles flowing out of its head body with eyes on the end of each of those tentacles. Beholders are terrible, nightmarish creatures, but it isn't only their design that makes them so terrifying. They are intelligent, magically gifted, and incredibly xenophobic. One glance at a beholder is enough to assess its foul and otherworldly nature. Aggressive, hateful, and greedy, these aberrations dismiss all other creatures as lesser beings, toying with them and destroying them as they choose. A beholder's spherical body levitates at all times, and its great bulging eye sits above a wide, toothy maw, while the smaller eye stalks that crown its body twist and turn to keep all foes in sight. When a beholder sleeps, it's even said that it closes the central eye, but it leaves all these smaller eyes open and alert, making it impossible to get the jump on a beholder. Beholders view themselves as the apex of existence, and they have a strive to gather knowledge and power by performing experiments on organic life. Though they are intelligent, it is not their mind that is the scariest part. Their large main eye can emit an anti-magic cone, making most magical items and spells useless. Killing one of these creatures is not an easy feat. Just ask my players. I threw a beholder at them with a few Intellect Devourers, looking to make the fight 10 times harder, and boy, do I feel kind of bad about it, but it was so fun. There is a reason beholders are one of the most nefarious and infamous monsters in all of D&D. And it's because of their absolutely alien design with a powerful stat block behind them to solidify its presence. A beholder holds such a weight and presence that you can make a beholder a long-form villain throughout a campaign, maybe even the main antagonistic force for the party to deal with. Beholders are classic, a very notorious D&D monster. And if you ever see one of these, I suggest running. Number 2, Mind Flayers. Mind Flayers, also known as Illithids, are the scourge of sentient creatures around countless worlds. Psionic tyrants, slavers, and interdimensional voyagers, they are insidious masterminds that harvest entire races for their own twisted ends. 4 tentacles snake from their octopus-like heads, flexing in hungry anticipation when sentient creatures come near. Mind Flayers are easily one of the most fascinating creatures in all of D&D. The Mind Flayers live and function in hive mind colonies. Solitary Mind Flayers are likely rogues or outcasts. Most Illithids belong to a colony of sibling Mind Flayers devoted to an Elder Brain, a massive brain-like being that resides in a briny pool near the center of a Mind Flayer community. From its pool, an Elder Brain telepathically dictates its desires to each individual Mind Flayer within 5 miles of it, for it is able to hold multiple mental conversations at once. I've thrown a Mind Flayer or 2 into my own campaign, and they've made a lasting impact on both the party and the players. Mind Flayers are pure Cthulhian nightmares, slimy skin, tentacles, and a lust for humanoid brains. Illithids survive on the brains of humanoids. The brains provide enzymes and hormones and psychic energy necessary for their survival. An Illithid healthy from a brain-rich diet secretes a thin glaze of mucus that coats its weird purplish skin. An Illithid experiences euphoria as it devours the brain of a humanoid, along with its memories, personalities, and innermost fears. Mind Flayers will sometimes harvest the brain rather than devour it, using it as a part of some alien experiment or transforming it into an Intellect Devourer. There aren't only one type of Mind Flayer, however. There are normal Mind Flayers, there are Mind Flayer Arcanists, Mind Flayer Liches, Mind Flayer Scions, Alhoons, and even Vampiric Mind Flayers. Have you realized the connecting theme with all of my choices so far? All of my choices are absolute nightmare fuel. And honestly, I'm at my number 1 now, and I think I kinda need some help. Number 1, Tiamat. Tiamat has got to take the spot as the number 1 creature for me in all of Dungeons & Dragons. Tiamat is the ancestor of all chromatic dragons. She embodies the vices of evil dragons, and her lore depends on the system, world, or dungeon master, but all of it usually shares common traits, such as her being related to Bahamut in some way, shape, or form. Tiamat and Bahamut, at least to me and in my games, are different sides of the same coin, Good and bad, nice and evil. In most systems, Tiamat is a goddess, the goddess of greed, envy, and hoarded wealth. Most representations of Tiamat exist as warnings within sanctuaries of the Platinum Dragon Bahamut. She's shown as a drake of frightful size, with massive leathery wings spreading clouds of poisonous mist, while she shouts from all 5 vicious dragon heads, each one a chromatic color of her evil children. My love for Tiamat comes from my own home game, as she is quite the presence and force within my world, and even with some of the characters. Tiamat is a force of pure evil, and being able to explore that mindset and that sort of thinking has been an experience for me as a dungeon master that I never thought I would experience. I like to believe that I'm a good person. I like making people smile and sharing, but to see almost my exact opposite and being able to step into that role for D&D has been so fascinating. The home game I'm running right now is my first campaign ever, dungeon master or player wise, period. Tiamat was introduced pretty early in my campaign alongside Bahamut, and I did not expect these two to shape my idea of my own world in the way that they did. They've changed it. They've changed the way I looked at my own world. I love the idea of Tiamat being this force. You know, it's like, it's not going to be equal. It's not going to be good. But she has a seduction to her that draws you in and hooks you. All of her relationships have a slight enslavement that goes on within it. And the idea that any moment she has the ability to turn on you unless you please her, unless you play your cards right. And that's such an interesting power source to explore in your world. Tiamat is a force to be reckoned with. 5 dragon heads making powerful attacks with their own unique breath weapons, alongside her gigantic draconic claws and tail. My campaign is yet to end, but I look forward to what is to come. Each head might speak separately and have different mannerisms and personalities, but at the end of the day, they are all Tiamat. More on the lore of the Scale Tyrant. Mortals who hunger for power and wealth often seek fealty to Tiamat in pursuit of their own goals. Many of her followers have attempted to break her out of Avernus and failed, which is another thing that has traversed from system to system, world to world, edition to edition. There are many ways and paths that have been created on how to actually free Tiamat from her prison in Avernus, such as breaking locks or gates or sacrificing a horde worthy of an ancient dragon. Whatever it may be, I can't even really pinpoint exactly why Tiamat stands out to me so much. All I know is, ever since I've introduced her into my world, she's been there, and I think she's always going to be. That's why Tiamat is my number 1 monster of all of D&D. And that, my betas, is my top 8 personal favorite D&D monsters. Anyways, if you did enjoy this type of video, I'm not used to making these type of videos, so if you have any tips, comment down below. If you enjoyed it, also comment down below, leave a like, subscribe. Let me know that you all enjoyed this, and I will probably make another top 8 favorite D&D monsters, or maybe another top 8 most scariest, or most, I don't know, cute. Whatever you guys want to see, let me know. Comment down below. Anyways, it's been your boy NightWolf. I will catch you guys in the next video. Anyways, it's been more NightWolf. I will catch you guys in the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. It's been more NightWolf. I will catch you guys in the next one. Say ya with me, say ya with me. Peace.